right. Select stream. Okay, I think I am streaming. There we go. All right, so good afternoon. I'm going to hang out for a minute. I got some errands to run this afternoon, and I was going to stream yesterday my thoughts on the StarFleet Academy Season 1, Episode 4, but I was having some problems with this lens that I have on my camera. But now I think I've resolved it. It looks like everything looks okay, and I was going to talk about this new episode. And before I even get into that, I gotta be honest, I am really, really impressed at the number of people that are watching my channel or my live stream. The number of people, I mean, they may not join while I'm doing the live stream, but there's a lot of people that come after the fact, watch the live stream, and make very, very, very intelligent comments. And how do I know that they're intelligent? Because you guys are writing in full sentences and in paragraphs, and they're not negative. They're not insulting. They're just really solid comments. And if you could read some of the comments on your own, I don't really. I do read them all, by the way. I read every last comment, and I really appreciate them all. And they're very thoughtful, and they're intelligent. And a lot of people seem like they feel very similar feelings that I feel, that you're watching this and you're wondering what is going on. It's not that, and I think it's insulting. I'll be honest. It's insulting that people are thinking that the only reason that someone like myself, who's watched Star Trek all my life, is not liking the show is because the people and the characters are young. What kind of nonsense is that? There's young characters in every single Star Trek. I mean, there's not a Star Trek just with. I think they think because we're old that when we were watching Star Trek, the characters were old then too. I don't know what the logic is. It has nothing to do with any of that. The cultures, the different races, the different orientations. And I don't know how. I think it's just some sort of a gimmick, right? Every time someone likes something or they don't like something, they try to make it where you can take sides and pit one side against the other. Well, there's no sides here. I just looked at IMDb. The IMDb rating for this StarFleet Academy is like 4.2. So I'm clearly not the only one, and it's just not old people that think this suck. And it does. It kind of sucks. And I hate to say it, I wanted to like this episode so much. I mean, because it started off, it looked like it was going to be good. It really did. But then once you got into it, you're like, oh. Not again, and it just, like you said, if I were to say the positive things about this episode, and let's start off with the positives. The positives is, number one, the Jim Hadar Klingon lady was not yelling this episode. That's a huge positive. They could have easily eliminated her from this whole episode, but they just made it so she wasn't yelling. I give that a thumbs up. I mean, the lady was not yelling, and that was great. The second positive is that her girlfriend or boyfriend or partner, this Janet Reno lady, was not in the episode. Another positive. That was great. Another positive is the captain did not sprawl all over the furniture like an idiot this time. It was just like they started off with a captain's log, and we're like, this is interesting. The captain's log was kind of weak, but at the end of the day, it was a captain's log. So I'm like, thumbs up for that. They at least let the captain give a captain's log on their ship. Thank you. For goodness sakes. You don't have to throw away everything that has to do with Star Trek. So that was a good thing. What else? Let me think of some other good things. Another good thing is visually, in the end, it looks good except for one thing. So I've got a what's called an anamorphic lens on my camera, and it's not just for this live stream. I use it for photography because I like the glares myself when I'm doing video and things like that. They really did a number on us with the anamorphic. I mean, there were some scenes where all you could see was one big bright flash, and you're like, "What? Why are they trying to blind me at home?" And you couldn't see in a character's face. You couldn't see anything but a white flash. It was outrageous how much they used the light directly into the camera. It was horrible. And I mean, I thought I was shot, a few times because it was just so bright. So that part of the visual, that was not good. And then if you watch this episode near the end, they've got like almost a flashlight just shining directly at the camera, and it makes this anamorphic, glare for 5 minutes through the whole scene, and it was just so irritating. And so that part, whoever's doing the whatever you call that, cinematography or whatever, they need to be reprimanded. I mean, it's cool to have a lens flare here and there, but to have that be the whole topic as a lens flare is outrageous. All right, well, I'm gonna get right into it. The things that I really saw, and I'm not gonna do like a review and point by point by point, but I am going to talk about some things that were specific for me. And let me bring up some stuff here. I like this where you can actually bring up some images here. If you guys want to learn how to do this, there's videos on how you can set up and use OBS and all that kind of stuff. And if you're doing, when I was actually working in corporate America, I wish I had this kind of a setup, because it makes life a lot easier when you can bring up graphics and all that kind of stuff. You're doing Zoom, you should really look up how to use like OBS for your Zoom calls. And you'll be able to have content that you can refer to and things like that. Makes life a lot easier. I didn't do that when I was working, but I would absolutely recommend looking up, the use of like OBS. I think OBS is free. You might have to buy what's called a capture card for your laptop, and then some sort of a camera. You can use your phone, really, or any other kind of camera that's got a good resolution on it, and that really will help you in your professional life. Anyways, that's just a tip. All right, so it starts off with the captain's log, and then it goes into StarFleet Academy, and they're in class, and the doctor, which he still hasn't got a name after 1,000 years. That's all right. He's teaching a debate class, and apparently, there's just little things that's kind of irritating about this show. And this isn't like something I would hold against it. If the show was actually good, I would probably ignore it. But because the show is kind of crappy, you start nitpicking a little bit. So he makes a quote that was used by, Picard or Patrick Stewart in A Measure of a Man, which is, I think that's season 1 of Next Generation. And he got the quote wrong. That's outrageous. That's unnecessary and outrageous. You can use AI, right? You can, anything you want. You can take that exact quote on YouTube or whatever it is, run it through AI, and it will transcribe word for word that speech, and you don't have to. I don't know what people did when they were writing this. How do you get a quote wrong in 2026? And so he had the quote completely wrong, which was outrageous. But the gist of it was that they were going to have this debate, and he's going to have these these cadets debate one with another. And the topics were picked at random by, I don't think they're random by the doctor. It's like, I think that's how, and this also had a weird debate style. And when I was in high school, I had debate class, and they would give a topic, and you didn't get to pick your side. They told you what side you have to defend this point, or you have to, propose, defend or oppose this point, and that's what you had to do. It seemed like these guys were able to pick what's as a minor nit, and they did it. And it turns out that the Klingon guy, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't make fun of him, but the Klingon guy, where is he at? Let me get him up on the screen. This guy. He's got the fear of speaking in public, right? And it's so bad that it causes him to break into a cold and a sweat and pass out. Okay, I'm going to tell you that's reasonable. There's a lot of people. I had it when I was in grade school. I had a fear of speaking in front of people, but I was able to figure out a way to overcome that in my own brain. But this guy. He's got all sorts of problems, and I don't know why you want to have a character. Forget about him being Klingon. I'm gonna say forget, but then we're gonna come back to him being a Klingon. Forget about him being a Klingon for a second. He's a young adult. He's in a cadet, so he's got to be. I would imagine he's got to either be in his late teens or this is like college or something. You've got to be old enough that you have to learn how to face your fears and all that type of stuff. But this guy is just paralyzed with fear. And all of the characteristics that he has as a Klingon is just, like, I think there's a character, like you said, in The Next Generation, Alexander, which is Worf's son. This guy has so many challenges. He's not a warrior. He doesn't fight. And he's afraid of public speaking. And I know. So it just seemed like, okay, they were going over the top in terms of how afraid he was. And he's pouring sweat. And I know people who do that. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that, but as you get older, you have to start figuring out ways to, especially if you're going into Starfleet. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. I can understand if he was going, and he's talking about bird watching. If you're going into the bird watching academy, and part of the part of the class is for you to give a presentation on birds and you're scared to death, that's understandable. But if you're going into Starfleet and you're exploring strange new worlds and seek out new lives and civilizations, and you've got this paralyzing fear, I think you're in the wrong job. Some personalities and characters don't belong in the military. Or, I'm sorry, you just don't. I mean, anyways. So, I'll be honest, I'm kind of forgetting how this whole thing develops. There's a backstory, and this is where I really feel like it got off the rails. No, let's not get to the backstory yet. After this whole debilitating feeling of I can't give a public presentation, the main character, which is I think is Caleb, I think they've said his name enough so I can remember his name, is Caleb, is having a conversation with Gaten about life, and he's like, here, he's got these food rations and stuff on the floor, and he's sharing food with him, and the guy's just a weirdo, right? He's like giving him a piece of pizza, and he's like, I don't eat pepperoni. He's throwing the pepperonis on the floor, and then he offers him some Klingon food, and he's like, oh, I can't eat this because I'm not a warrior, and yeah, it just was cringy, but then so then I'm jumping around a little bit. They jump to this backstory of how, and I'm going to get to this right now. They jump to this backstory about how and why he's not the very good Klingon. So it turns out that when he was younger, he just wasn't a good Klingon, and apparently his brother. It kind of discouraged him from being a warrior, and actually was kind of mean to him about this, and so he never really developed as a warrior. They made fun of him, and all that kind of stuff. And they said, you should go and do something else with your life because warrior is not for you. And at the end of this whole series was this, a summation. He had this allusion to he had two fathers and a mother, and at the end of the day, everybody abandoned him, and all he was left was this little beacon that he got from his brother, which talked about he should go join StarFleet. You can't be a warrior with us, but you can go off to StarFleet and find yourself and be yourself, and you can see who you really are. All right. The thing there is nobody on this planet that is that blind to not see that they're trying to have this guy come out of the closet, right? He is a gay Klingon. I don't know why they just come right out and say it. He's a gay Klingon. Now the problem with him being a gay Klingon is he is shitting on everything that we've learned about people being Klingon. He says, I don't like, this Klingon food. I don't like the Klingon culture. My dad abandoned me. My dad's abandoned me. And the whole thing, everything that has to do with Klingon sucks. Okay. I don't know anything about being a homosexual. I'm not a homosexual. But being a straight man, there is not one day I wake up in my life and feel I need to put down someone who's a homosexual or gay in order to make myself feel better. I know people do that, right? People who are insecure, people who are ignorant, people don't know what they're talking about. They put down other people based on their race and their sex and their gender and all that kind of stuff. But if you are a normal, functioning, not insecure person, it doesn't cross your mind to put somebody else down just because you want to feel good about your decisions in life. Like, I don't need to do that because I have confidence. And clearly, he doesn't have any confidence because this whole series is about him showing that the Klingons and the lifestyle and the warrior ethic and the strength that we saw in all the different episodes was bad. And that him being a gay Klingon is good. See, to me, that's the same bigotry that you're accusing people who are against people being gay to have. I mean, if somebody is straight and they're saying that someone is gay is bad, to me, it's just as bad for somebody gay to say someone straight is bad. You should be able to, I'll give you an example. If you go back to Worf, go back to Worf on Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and Next Generation. During Next Generation, he had relationships with several different women. During Deep Space Nine, he fell in love and married a person that was a woman on the outside, but had a male entity on the inside. So there was not a clear-cut definition of what the gender of the person as Jadzia Dax was. So you can say that Worf was bisexual. Or he knew that this was a man on the inside. You can say that he was gay, if you want to. But he was not weak, denying his culture, and insecure and inferior. This guy, Gaten, is completely insecure and inferior and representing what gayness is like. I'm not gay, but if I were, I'd be insulted. I would really be insulted that you're representing me. See, when I was younger, we would call people gay or this kind of thing because we were insulting their masculinity. I'm not saying it was the right thing to do. I'm just saying what we did. And this guy is an embodiment of the slurs that we used back in the 1970s about gay people, that they're feminine, that they're not confident, that they're not good at sports. So this is a whole, this Gaydon guy, to me, is a complete sexually oriented stereotype of what it is to be gay. I mean, I would think that you would want a representation, if you're gay, I would think you'd want a representation of someone that's moving confidently through life, like Worf, versus someone who can't stand up and speak for himself. And he's sweating bullets and he's acting crazy because he's so insecure and he's gay. Like I said, I would be insulted if I was gay that this was a representation. I'll give you another example. If I look at being African American, a lot of the Klingons that are played in Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and now this StarFleet Academy, some of them were African American underneath the makeup and the headpieces and all that kind of stuff, like Michael Dorn and Tony Todd, but some of them actually were white. I forgot there was some guy who was on the news. There was a lot of people. Gabrielle Union was, she was actually a Klingon, a really cute Klingon. But what I'm saying is, if I were to relate, culturally to being African American to one of these different Klingons, I would a million times prefer to have Michael Dorn represent me from a racial point of view than freaking Gaydon. I mean, this would be an embarrassment that this is what you have to show me, that 1,000 years from now, I'm still not going to have confidence in myself. And 1,000 years from now, I'm not going to be able to defend myself. It got so bad. And he got so insecure that he needed to have this other guy who was also gay to come up and do some sort of breathing exercise and comfort. And nobody could tell me that wasn't what I saw. I mean, they were like within half an inch of making out. And this is what you need as a man in order to overcome your fear. I would be, like I said, if I was a homosexual, if I was gay, and I saw this character was so weak and insecure and fearful, and that is the representation of being gay. You're weak, you're fearful, and you're insecure. I would be protesting this show. I'm not gay, but I'm just saying, if I was gay, I'm nothing like this fucking guy. And I don't need, I would assume that somebody's gay is going to be confident with their partner. That's what I see. If I see gay guys out there, they're talking to each other, they're having a good time, I don't see them pumping each other up so that they can go to work in the morning. That is the 1970s version of our, I don't call it homophobic. That is our ignorant version of what gay. I'm telling you, and people are supporting this show, but it is showing the worst sexual, racial stereotypes you could ever imagine. And this show is homophobic. This show is racist. That's why I don't like it. I don't like it because you've got the black women in here. Both of them are fat and loud and dumb. That's a horrible representation of black women. There's no woman like Uhura in this show. There's no confident black women. They're just loud and obese, like the racial stereotype that most people want to see when they see a black woman. The white guy is a racial stereotype. He's this gross, overreacting, bisexual dude that needs to take charge and comfort other men. What do you think the whole MAGA thing? They want to dominate and take control of other men. That's why they do this MAGA thing. But I'm just saying, that stereotype of that white guy, I don't know what his name is the worst stereotype of a white guy you could ever imagine. The female captain is the worst stereotype of a female captain. When a woman gets in charge, she's going to be goofy and slut. Like in this episode, she was kind of slutty. I mean, isn't that the worst stereotype you'd ever want to have for a woman? Is she's slutty, she's drinking all night, she shows up to the actual debate at the end drunk, hungover. Is that the representation of women that you want? I would tell you that every race, nationality, gender, identity, whatever you are, you should be offended by this show. This is not representation. This is straight up bullshit and racism and horrible examples of what it is to be anybody. And I know what they're doing. They're showing women, they're showing lesbian women, they're showing gay men, and they're showing older people and young people. And the older people, they're dumb. Do you see what I mean? So if you look at these representation of the people that they're, if this is identity politics or identity messaging, the messaging sucks. And you can't convince me that these are good role models of gay men. These are good role models of gay women, and these are good role models of young people. Look, the hologram is a young person and dumb as rocks. Wouldn't you want the representation of your young person to be smart? That's what I mean. You got the representation of your younger person as a dumb hologram. Now, how ridiculous is that? Is to have your hologram, which is programmed but there's a computer in the background. How ridiculous it is because it's a woman, it's going to be fat and dumb. I would be insulted if I was a woman. Like, this is my representation. Even if I'm a computer with all the knowledge of the whole ship or StarFleet Academy, I'm still going to be dumb and silly. Anyways, I don't have much more to say about this show. I mean, I was saying that I was hoping it was going to be better. At the end of the show, I think, they showed the Klingons were like some sort of a migrant people, and they had no place to go, and they needed them to, they had a planet for them to save them. The Klingons like, we don't want your help. So they said, we'll trick them, we'll make them fight us, and they'll make them think that they won on their own. Dumb. But I'm actually now insulted that people will accuse anybody of not liking people who are diverse because they don't like this show. No, they're representing the diverse people as complete idiots and misanthropes versus strong characters. You want to have a gay couple, make them good. You want to have a gay Klingon, make him a good gay Klingon. Give him character. Give him... Now, like I said when I first started the series of these videos, I'm not giving up. These are my honest opinions on what I think about this show. And what I think about it right now, and I'm not alone. IMDb is giving them 4.2 out of 10. And it's, I don't know if anybody's, doing backflips except people online who pretend to like it. But I can't imagine that you could tell me that any of the scenes that I spelled out, and I didn't spell out, there's still more that's even worse, that all the scenes I just spelled out in this little short kind of live session, that you thought that this was actually good stuff. I would like to watch. This is where I don't see. I don't see someone like me taking this show and going through scene by scene and telling me what they like about it. They just complain about someone like me, complain about it. I think, to be honest, if you want my honest opinion, and I got to go because I got some errands to run, I think, to be honest, they are making this show so bad so people like me will actually make this content. So you can make a terrible show, but you're still going to get a ton of action online because there's people like me that's going to make video. And I'm happy to make the video because it looks like people like the video and they're liking it, they're viewing it, and eventually I'm at 200 subscribers. Eventually, I'll get to 1,000 subscribers, and they'll start making me some money. So thank you, Paramount Plus, for sucking. I got to go, because it might make me a buck. I got to actually go take some real pictures of some real people and actually make some money. All right, have a happy Saturday. If you watch this one tonight or tomorrow, have a good evening and a good weekend. And I love you guys for supporting this channel and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. You don't know how happy I am to have people that are just coming on and watching me for no reason except to hear about StarFleet Academy. All right, take care.